So we're beginning our tour at Stockholm University, which is a public research university in Stockholm, Sweden, founded as a college in 1878. With over 33,000 students at 4 different facilities, including law, humanities, social sciences, natural sciences, and it's one of the largest universities in the Scandinavian countries. So for our first stop, we headed towards the Friseski Sports Center. Here are all different side views of the sports center. Here's some more views as we keep moving forward. We're going to go around to the front of it. Here's another side view. We go through these walkways to get to the front. The Sports Center allows university students to unwind while enjoying physical activity. They include room for badminton, tennis, mini tennis, table tennis. Additionally, this is where Stockholm University intramural sports takes place and allows for students to test their skills against other students. Next, we're going to move on to the science buildings. This first building is the Geoscience building, which comes to house the Department of Geological Science. This department focuses on the study of physical matters that make up the planet. This is a critical field of study as we seek to better understand the mysteries of the planet's past and fully realize the impact our actions will have on the future. So this is one of the most important buildings. Next, we're going to move on to the Environmental Science building, where students and professors study the environment and our impact on it. Sweden is a historical pioneer in the world of environmental protection. In fact, it was the first nation to establish an environmental protection agency. Here's some other views of the building, and all of these science buildings are connected through those long glass bridges up there, as you can see. And the last science building focuses on the actual physical geography. This department focuses on physical characteristics of the planet and their interactions. If you think about tectonic forces and the processes that change land areas experienced over time, this is what this department studies. And here's some other side views of it. All these buildings are very beautiful and very basic Scandinavian architecture, which you'll find in many other Scandinavian countries like Finland and Norway. So here is another side view. Next, we're going to move on to the accelerator. We'll find our way there. We'll go forward through these alleyways. Go through here. Now we are at the accelerator. This is an exhibit space that allows for students and artists to create and display works of art. There is a strong focus on art that focuses on the environmental and societal issues at work around the world. Again, we can see the focus that Stockholm University has in tackling the tough issues that face our global community. So here's a panoramic view of the accelerator. Next, we're going to move on to other parts of the campus. Now we'll move on to the large shared common areas presented at Stockholm University. First, there's a central entrance courtyard. Here, walkways radiate out in a spoken pattern that can be clearly seen in these images. Notice that the map and labels that direct students to what they find as they go down this path. I think it's important to note that Sweden's commitment to natural environmental spaces to allow students to get outside and enjoy the beautiful Swedish nature. This large expense gives students working in high-stress environments an opportunity to engage with the natural world simply and quietly. Whenever they feel the need to do so, here we can take some time to enjoy this wonderful aspect of life in Sweden and at Stockholm University. Then will we see these natural walkways to return back to our start at the Friseski Sports Center, where our bus driver will meet us to continue our journey around Stockholm. So we're going to continue to move along there. Next is our walking tour too. So we're going to go to several destinations, but our first place we're going to go to is the Royal Palace. So we're going to go into the street view. Here you can see the Royal Palace is under construction. This is the official residence of the Swedish monarchs. Royal receptions are held here, and the building is open to the public year-round. The palace has 3 museums inside: the Treasury with the Regala, the Tre Corner Museum, and the Gustav III Museum of Antiquities. This castle of over 300 rooms is one of the largest palaces in Europe. The castle was largely constructed in the 18th century with the Italian style. The location of the palace is the Tre Corner Castle, burned down in 1697. The original residence was built in the middle of the 13th century. Next, we're going to move on to the equestrian statue of Adolf Gustav II. So we're going to go get a street view of that. This is Gustav's II Adolf statue, which is an equestrian statue that was constructed by Perry Hubert and John Tobias Sergel. The statue was inaugurated on November 17, 1796. Gustav II Adolf was the King of Sweden from 1611 to 1632. He is accredited for the rise of Sweden as a great European nation. During his reign, Sweden became one of the primary military forces in Europe during the 30-Year War. Gustav is known as the father of modern warfare because he taught many military commanders who expanded the power of the Swedish Empire after Gustav's death. Next, we're going to move on to the obelisk at Castle Hill. This location of this monument is known as the very center point of Swedish capital city. The original obelisk was built in 1800 but was dismantled in 2017 due to the old age. In 2020, the monument was rebuilt using newly quarried stone. The middle or upper class of Sweden for guarding the city while he led the original statue was commissioned by King Gustav III. This allowed the middle and upper class of Stockholm to guard the city while he led the Swedish-Finnish Navy in the Russian War between 1788 and 1790. Unfortunately, Gustav III died before the monument was finished and was instead unveiled by King Gustav IV. Next, we're going to move on to Gamla Stan, which is also known as Old Town, which dates back to the 13th century. Gamla Stan is one of the world's oldest and best preserved medieval city centers. Gamla Stan consists of medieval alleyways, cobblestone streets, and archaic architecture. In the center of Gamla Stan, there is a large square which is surrounded by historic merchant houses. Like all these colorful houses around here, these are all historic merchant houses. The former Stockholm Stock Exchange building is actually located in the large square. Gamla Stan also contains sites like Stork Jörgen and Nobel Prize Museum, which we will visit later in the walking tour. So we can go on now to Stork Jörgen, which is a cathedral. Stork Jörgen, which translates to the Great Church, is the oldest church in Stockholm. The church was consecrated to St. Nicholas in 1306. This church has been the scene of many historical events, used as the coronation church for centuries. Most recently, this church was used for the wedding between Crown Princess Victoria and Daniel Wellington in 2010. This is also a place of national commemorations such as military victories, national tragedies, and more recently, funerals. The church is also home to many important pieces of art, such as the late medieval sculpture of St. George and the Dragon. Next, we're going to move on to the Nobel Prize Museum. Here, let's get a street view down here. The Nobel Prize Museum is located in Gamla Stan, which is the location of many other historical. So here's a front view of the Nobel Prize Museum, which is located at the former Stockholm Stock Exchange building. The Nobel Prize Museum showcases information about different categories of the Nobel Prizes, Nobel Prize winners, and how the Nobel Prize was founded. You can also view different artifacts that were donated by past and present Nobel Prize winners. The Nobel Prize Museum will be an enriching experience to not only learn about the impact of Nobel Prize winners had on Sweden, but the world. Next, we're going to go back through Gamla Stan to return to our bus so we can move on to the next location. Thank you for listening.